Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Yeah, we are ready for the event.
NPR, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is NPR. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear. Welcome aboard the space station.
Thanks. Hi.
Hello.
Can I ask you two to introduce yourselves first?
Yeah, so I'm Scott Kelly. I'm a NASA astronaut, commander of the space station up here. And I'll hand the mic to my colleague.
Hi, I'm Mikhail Kornienko, flight engineer 2, on board the station.
Nice to meet you both. Can you tell me where you are right now?
Yeah, so I'm going to look at the map here real quick. We are in the southern part of the Pacific Ocean, approaching the southwestern part of South America and heading up towards Europe in that direction.
I guess you say when you're in that part of the Pacific Ocean, you are far above that part of the Pacific Ocean, right?
That is true, and we will not be in that part of the Pacific Ocean for very long because we're going very fast, 17,500 miles per hour.
Wow. What does it look like for those of us who've never had that view?
Well, it's it's an impressive view. I would describe it as breathtaking. The first few times you've seen it, it never gets old looking at the Earth. The Earth's a very beautiful place. It's very blue. There's a lot of water, a lot of ocean down there, but other parts of it are an incredible place to look at, and something that I think most astronauts would probably say they have a better appreciation for our home planet when you get to view it from this perspective.
You are both spending a full year on the International Space Station. I mean, you're not setting the record for the longest time in a single spaceflight, but still, it's the longest anyone has spent in space for a while. What day are you on now?
We are on day, I think it's 193.
193, yeah.
Yeah, 193.
So more than halfway through.
Yeah, that's true. More than halfway.
I wonder how it's affecting you guys differently.
Can you say that one more time, please?
Sure. How is it affecting you each? I mean, and is it affecting you each in different ways?
Well, I think what you mean is, how is being up here for a really long time affecting us? For both of us have flown long-duration flights before. For me personally, I think that was a good experience to know what it would be like. When I was here last time, I was here for 159 days, and that seemed like a long time. And I knew this was going to be a lot longer. I'm getting to the point now where it almost seems like I've forgotten what it's like to live on Earth, and just becoming more of a citizen of the space station, of space, I guess.
I guess I could ask this question of Mikhail. Have there been any surprises up there on this mission?
Сюрпризы, если можно назвать это сюрпризами.
Well, surprises, if you can call them surprises, maybe they were unpleasant surprises. As you know, we have lost 2 cargo vehicles, but at the same time, we were able to overcome that, and it did not affect our work here, even though we did have to make a couple of changes. So it's really hard to call these failures as surprises, but in general, everything else is nominal. And I cannot single out any other surprises except for these two incidents that we were able to successfully overcome.
Can you give us a sense of how small the station is?
It's I wouldn't characterize it as small. It's people describe it like the amount of room you might have in a 5-bedroom house. It's pretty spacious, although there's a lot of stuff up here. We have a lot of equipment. I never think of it as a place that I would really want or need more room. There are modules that we use more than others. So it's pretty spacious, and it's pretty effective for what it's designed for, which is an orbiting laboratory. And a lot of the modules are science modules to do all the experiments we do. So that's what they're used primarily for. So we have a lot of space.
Give us a sense of the research you're doing while you're there. What are you learning while you're up there?
Well, while I'm here, there's and Misha, of course, there are 400 different types of scientific experiments going on. And they're generally in 3 different categories. There are the exploration-based science. It's the stuff that we need to know to travel further from Earth. Perhaps go to Mars someday or other destinations like that. And that's, part of this 1-year mission is to understanding better the physiology and the negative effects of really long-duration spaceflight on our physiology in terms of, the effects on our bones, our muscle, our vision, our immune system. There's an experiment with my brother to understand the genetic component of the microgravity effects. And what kind of systems we need to go to Mars with regards to cleansing the atmosphere, how we may need to produce food. We recently had a scientific experiment where we grew lettuce up here. So those are the exploration-based things. Then there are the types of experiments that are designed to improve life on Earth, the medical research type experiments, the fundamental science in physics and chemistry, biology, those type of things. We have a furnace right here next to us that does combustion research, how to make combustion systems more efficient. And the third type of science we do is the science that's the science of our international partners that span both of those general categories. So it's a pretty broad program we have.
This might be an awkward question to ask with you both right there, but how do you keep from getting annoyed with each other in that space?
So it's I've been asked that question often, and it's a valid question. I think not only NASA but our international partners pick people that are probably the right kind of people to be in this environment. People that are not easily annoyed, maybe, and understand the type of behavior. The type of expeditionary behavior, we call it, that requires just certain, I think, personal characteristics, and we do a good job at screening future candidates for this job, as well as training people to do these kind of things.
Let me ask Misha the same question. I mean, have you guys had any arguments?
Ну, споры и разногласия, наверное, это нормальное.
I believe that argument is part of normal working process when you work as part of a big team. But I would like to say very definitely they are never destructive. We always find a compromise and find the middle ground, and we never have arguments in a bad way. Maybe sometimes we see differently how a certain experiment can be performed, maybe faster, maybe more efficiently, but at the same time, the International Space Station is not the place for arguments. Everybody understands that perfectly. And of course, we have been screamed not only from the physiological standpoint, but from the psychological standpoint as well. We are friends here on board the ISS, and I would like to thank you, my colleagues on the ISS, for that.
Well, NASA astronaut Mark Kelly and Russian cosmonaut Mikhail Kornienko, thank you so much for talking to us.
My pleasure. My name's Scott.
Sorry, it was wrong. I read it wrong in the thing. I'm so sorry. Your brother's Mark. NASA astronaut Scott Kelly and Russian cosmonaut Mikhail Kornienko, thank you so much for talking to us.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the NPR portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from NBC.
Station, this is NBC. How do you hear me?
Captain Scott.
We have you loud and clear. Welcome. Loud and clear.
Thank you, Scott. Mikhail, good to see both of you. Scott, you've been up there 193 days now. This is not an endurance contest. This is science. I know a lot of measurements are being taken between where you are and your brother Mark on the ground, but what does your body tell you about the effects of being in space this long?
You know, physically, I feel pretty good, and we have a good, group of people down on the ground that watch over us. We have good exercise and protocols and nutrition up here. So as far as how I'm personally, how I feel physically, I feel fine. But there's a lot of research that is being done on us that we can't, we don't feel and see those effects. The stuff like you mentioned with my brother, the stuff that would be on our, our genetics, our, bone loss effects on our vision. But overall, I feel pretty good.
And Mikhail, do you and Scott compare notes about how you're feeling and wondering if you're feeling the same things?
We are more than halfway through, and actually, we don't even have to compare that verbally. We understand each other without words. I understand Scott very well. I see how he's feeling, and I totally agree with what Scott has said. And I believe everything goes very smoothly as far as our health is concerned, as far as our psychological climate is concerned. We are exercising twice a day. It helps a lot, and we are in great shape. I would like to point out one more thing. Here on orbit, we also have our own climate. For example, I'm tired and I'm not feeling well, and I see that my colleagues are also feeling not so well. So yes, there is some common climate for all of us, just like on Earth. Thank you very much.
Scott, your brother Mark wrote a terrific essay. He's talking about life on the space station. He says, you wake up in an environment that is exactly the same as the day before it. Imagine being stuck in your office for 173 days and no way to go outside, and with no up and no down and nothing ever changing, and know you've got nearly 6 months to go before you can leave. That's a pretty dismal description. Tell me where you are right now. How much freedom of movement do you have to just get alone for a few minutes up there?
Well, the space station is, as far as where we are over the Earth, we're above the Atlantic Ocean. As far as where we are in the space station, we're in the U.S. laboratory module, which is one of the main modules of the space station. It's a science laboratory, but it's also the kind of like almost the bridge of the ship for the space station, at least on the U.S. Side of the space station. But the station itself is like about the size of a 5-bedroom house. We never feel like we could use more room. It's very spacious. It's got a lot of laboratories, science laboratories on here, so there's plenty of space for us. As far as getting alone time, we have these crew quarters so we can. It's the size of like a phone booth, so we can get some have some privacy there.
A couple of the resupply ships were lost on the way up to you. Was that disheartening, and did it cause any major inconvenience?
Yeah, so we had a bad year with regards to resupply. We lost 3 cargo vehicles in the span of I guess about a year's time. So on one hand, it's unfortunate we lost a lot of science equipment and other supplies. At the same time, I think it demonstrates the resiliency of our program, where we can lose that type of hardware and still continue on. We have a certain level of redundancy between the U.S. and the Russian systems, so that helps a lot. And I think it just shows the flexibility and, like I said, the resiliency of our program. So it kind of stinks, especially for the people that some of this is their scientific experiments, and they're going to have to rebuild them and refly them again. For us, I think it's a little bit more easier to cope with.
And I'm looking off to your right. I see a couple of big long lens cameras there. Are those the ones you've been sending back these terrific pictures of? I've seen your pictures of sports stadiums, of hurricanes. How much is that a hobby, and how much is that science?
I think it's some of it is science. There are certain experiments that we do when we take pictures of the hurricanes to see if you can judge, the speed and the danger of a hurricane without actually having to send an airplane into the eye of the storm like we often do. Some of it is hobby and more like public outreach kind of things. But I do it because I enjoy it. It's not most of the stuff I do isn't required, but hopefully it has. Hopefully people enjoy it.
Part of what the two of you are doing is demonstrating what the effects would be on an astronaut to travel on a Mars mission. I saw a picture of you all watching the movie The Martian, and I'd like both of your opinions as how real was it and what you thought of it.
There was a lot of stuff in the movie that was very realistic, and I think part of that was because NASA helped the production company in making the movie. So a lot of the hardware and procedures, terminology, and stuff. One of my colleagues said when the Matt Damon character was looking at his menu, it was actually the food that we have up here, and we eat. It was the same stuff. So there was a lot of realism to it. It was great to watch it up here. It's great to watch space movies up here. You might not think so. Almost counterintuitive to think we would enjoy watching a movie about, like the movie Gravity, for instance, or about a guy being stuck on Mars. But it was entertaining for us.
And Mikhail, what did you think of it? And did it make you wonder whether we will see a trip to Mars, a manned trip, in your lifetime?
I liked the movie very much, and I agree with Scott. It was very realistic, a lot of true details, all technical details were very, very close to reality. It was a very well-made movie. And as far as the flight to Mars is concerned, I believe that during our lifetime we will be able to witness it. Maybe it won't happen as soon as we would like it to happen, but it will happen.
All right, maybe you can take Matt Damon with you. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and continued safe travels in space. Hope to talk to you again very soon.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thanks for your time.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you, NPR and NBC. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.